I had always dreamed of working at Jensen Corp. The moment I stepped into the sleek, modern lobby, the scent of freshly brewed coffee and polished glass filled the air, amplifying my excitement. I pictured myself in a crisp suit, confidently presenting my ideas among the elite of Silicon Valley. But I soon learned that dreams could be as fickle as the weather in this bustling tech hub. When I finally submitted my application, I poured my heart into every word, hoping to catch their attention. Instead, I was met with a curt rejection email that stung like a chill wind against my skin. Dear Sarah, thank you for your interest in Jensen Corp. We regret to inform you. I read the words over and over, each line festering deep within, fueling a fire of determination in me. With a huff of frustration escaping my lips, I tossed my phone aside. I wouldn't let rejection define my future. A year later, I stood on the cusp of something new and exhilarating. I'd channeled my anger into building my own tech startup, pouring every ounce of passion into developing a revolutionary application that I believed could change the industry landscape. My hands trembled as I adjusted my blazer, its fabric smooth against my skin, before walking toward the familiar glass doors of Jensen Corpless time, not as a hopeful applicant, but as a business partner. The air buzzed with the hum of innovation, filled with the faint clinking of coffee cups and the sounds of distant conversations. I pushed open the door, fortifying my resolve. I'm here for the pitch meeting. I greeted the receptionist succinctly, a facade of confidence draped over my insecurities. Inside, the atmosphere pulsed with ambition mixed with fierce competition, the sharp scent of whiteboard markers and espresso lingering in the air. As I stepped into the conference room, my eyes darted around, landing on Mark, my old friend, the one person who had always supported my dreams. Our eyes met, his expression shifting from surprise to a murky blend of loyalty and embarrassment. Sarah, your pitch in here, he stammered, clearly caught off guard. Surprise, I shot back, a smirk threatening to crack my serious demeanor. The sight of him, now in a corporate suit, sent a rush of memories flooding back, conflicting emotions twisting inside me. The very place that had once dismissed me was now the stage for my comeback. Then I turned to face Emily, the CEO, her presence dominating the room. Her reputation for high standards and cutthroat tactics hung heavy in the air like an uninvited guest. Yet today, I wore resilience like armor, prepared to confront the very walls that had shut me out. Thank you for having me, I said, grounding my voice, reminding myself of the crucible I had emerged from. As the presentation began, I watched their expressions shift, glimmers of interest mingled with skepticism across their faces. The technology I was about to unveil had the potential to redefine their business model. But deep down, I felt the tension coiling, ready to strike. Would bitterness blind them, or could I spark the light of curiosity? Was Mark really my friend, or just another cog in the machine? Just as I was about to reveal the core of my pitch, a thought struck me. Could the very technology I designed have ties to Emily's hidden past? Before we dive deeper into this mind-bending twist, I have a quick reminder for everyone following our stories. YouTube has been removing subscriptions lately, so make sure to check if you're still subscribed and smash that like button to support the channel. Now, let's plunge back into the turning tide of ambition and confrontation. As I stood before them, the projector casting my dreams onto a sleek screen, my heart raced. Today, I'm here to introduce you to EdgeTech, I began, barely able to suppress my eagerness. This isn't just software, it's a paradigm shift in user interaction. I scanned the room, noting the arch of Emily's brows as a flicker of interest ignited in her eyes. I had her attention, at least for now. But there was Mark, his face a kaleidoscope of muted expression, just like the calm before a storm. The tension between us crackled. Despite my newfound resolve, I couldn't help but feel a pang of nostalgia for the camaraderie we once shared. Memories rushed back, moments forged under the burden of finals and caffeine-fueled late nights. But now, everything had changed. He was one of them, and I was the outsider. I pressed on, launching into the core functionalities of my app. Imagine streamlining workflows while enhancing collaboration. I explained, my voice steady, pouring every ounce of conviction into my words. Just as I sensed the slightest shift in their skepticism, Mark piped up. Sarah, while the idea is impressive, our current systems are already robust. What makes this different? His voice, once a support, now felt like a challenge. I could see Emily nodding at his comment, a smirk just barely concealed. My pulse quickened. This isn't just about being different, Mark, I shot back, letting the sting of our previous friendship fuel my fervor. It's about being better, faster, more intuitive, and open to integration. The room held its breath. Even Emily leaned forward. I realized I might have momentarily blinded myself with ambition, forgetting the personal stakes involved. What had been a quest for validation now threatened the very friendships I once cherished. But the edge of determination pushed me further. I continued weaving stories of users who had shifted from frustration to empowerment with edge tech. Then, the unexpected unfolded a question from Emily that pierced through the business jargon. What inspired you to create this? Her piercing gaze bore into mine, unearthing layers I thought I had buried. I hesitated for a moment, the weight of my truth bubbling to the surface. A rejection, I confessed, my voice shaking slightly. But more than that, it came from a desire to prove that we can all create something from our setbacks. In that moment, I saw the flicker of recognition in Emily's eyes, coupled with something deeper. Was it empathy or fear? My heart raced. Did she understand the paradox of ambition, of taking back control from those who once dismissed me? Just as I was piecing together the puzzle, Mark shifted uncomfortably. But what if he began, anxiety lacing his tone? I felt time freeze, the air thick with unresolved history and potential betrayal. Stay tuned as we unravel this web of intrigue and emotional conflict that sprawls beyond just technology. There's so much more at stake than I had imagined. But before we jump into the whirlpool of revelations, double-check that subscription and hit that bell icon. You don't want to miss the twists waiting around the corner. Let's dive deeper into this electrifying clash of ambition and opportunity. I could feel the tension in the air thicken, every pair of eyes in the conference room now glued to me, waiting for my next words. Emily's question echoed in my mind, challenging me to peel back the layers of my journey spurred by rejection and transformed by an unyielding desire to succeed. What inspired me? I repeated, almost to buy myself a moment to collect my thoughts. It wasn't just about the no I received from Jensen Corp. It was about every time I was told I wasn't good enough. With each sentence, the walls of my nervousness seemed to crumble a little more, revealing the hard-won confidence underneath. I channeled that energy into building edge tech because I believe in turning setbacks into opportunities. I wanted to show everyone here that innovation doesn't just come from the top. It rises from the ashes of disappointment. Mark's brow furrowed, the hints of nostalgia sparking in his eyes, yet he stayed anchored to Jensen's side. But Sarah, can you blame them for wanting stability? You didn't know how to play the game back then. What makes you think you can change things now? His words stung more than I expected. The man who once cheered me on was now my fiercest opponent. I took a deep breath, keeping my gaze steadfast on him. Because I didn't just build an app. I built a vision, I replied, my voice finding a steady rhythm. A vision that ties directly into the unpredictability of this industry. It embraces change rather than shuns it. And whether you see it or not, Mark, this is the future. The room was silent as I finished. I could feel Emily's keen gaze searching my face, likely weighing her next move. It was a strange sort of dance we were engaging in, balancing vulnerability with strength. Friendship with rivalry, all under the scrutiny of everyone present. Then, in an unexpected twist, Emily leaned forward, a flicker of recognition dancing across her face, as though she, too, had been touched by the uncertainty I'd faced. Sarah, you're right about one thing, Emily finally said, a tiny crack in her polished facade. This industry is about constant innovation. But innovation without structure can lead to chaos. What's your strategy for implementation? I noted the way her tone held just a hint of intrigue along with the usual corporate shield. It's about adaptability, I replied, my spirits lifting. EdgeTech integrates seamlessly with existing systems, enhancing workflows without uprooting established processes. It's disruptive, not destructive. For a moment, a glimmer of something curiosity, perhaps cast a new light in her eyes. But as I continued, Mark's demeanor shifted slightly. He opened his mouth to interject with skepticism but then seemed to reconsider, weighing the importance of my words. "Look, I know this might sound naive," I said, urgency spilling from my lips, "but this isn't just personal for me. It's for anyone who's ever felt dismissed. I want to empower those voices." Then the silence morphed into a palpable energy, and I sensed the tide was changing in the room. My words lingered, igniting a fire that blurred the lines of the professional and the emotional. Returning to the theme of ambition. "Did you know the very foundation of your tech could connect with the dilemma I faced?" Emily challenged, leaning back slightly but still resolute. "Dilemma?" I echoed, my curiosity piqued. Was there something deeper here? Did she have a story that echoed my own? "Some paths in life are filled with bitterness and missed chances," she said, her face now unreadable. "But those paths shape us, often in ways we least expect." Just then, the door swung open, and a junior analyst rushed in, briefly interrupting our charged exchange. "Sorry to interrupt, but there's a situation regarding the latest product launch," she said breathlessly, clearly unaware of the significant revelation brewing in the room. This unexpected break in tension created a moment of hesitation. Were we on the brink of a breakthrough or about to descend into chaos? I needed to steer this conversation back to where it mattered. I could feel the narrative slipping like sand through my fingers. As we pivoted back to business, I could sense more than just the fleeting rivalry. There was now a deeper connection forming, one driven by mutual respect and unveiled vulnerabilities. Mark's questioning gaze softened ever so slightly, and I wondered if there was still a chance to win his support back. Would Emily's buried past influence her decision? And what role would Mark play in this ever tighter web we were weaving? All these questions hung in the air, waiting to be unwrapped. Before we dive further into this unfolding mystery and the stakes involved, don't forget to double-check that you've hit subscribe. You won't want to miss the brewing storm, the decisions looming just over the horizon, and the eventual clash of visions. Let's return in the next chapter as alliances begin shifting and truths bleed into the fabric of ambition and vengeance. As I stood there, the weight of the moment wrapped around me like a shroud. I could sense the undercurrents of tension spread across the conference room like electricity, mingling with the scent of fresh coffee and the slight hum of technology surrounding us. It was a battleground of ambition and unspoken histories, where each word carried the weight of my revolution against the very establishment that had once scorned me. "Sarah, I'm intrigued by your passion," Emily said, her voice slicing through the ambient noise as she crossed her arms. "But passion alone doesn't dictate success in our world. What evidence do you have that your technology will outperform what we already have?" Her sharp question hung in the air, testing my resolve. For a fleeting moment, I considered faltering, but I couldn't let fear creep back in. This was my moment. I've conducted thorough testing with several pilot users individuals who represent a cross-section of what we hope to reach. I began, steadiness knitting together my voice. Their feedback has shown a 35% increase in efficiency, and the adaptability of EdgeTech means we can continuously evolve based on user input. Mark shifted in his seat, seemingly cautious about what he was witnessing. Did he remember the dreams we had shared? The late-night discussions where he had once fueled my fire with encouragement? Is that reliable data? He pressed, scrutinizing the information I was presenting with a mix of curiosity and skepticism. "Absolutely," I replied, lifting my chin. "The users are not just testing a product. They're experiencing a transformation in how they manage their tasks. Each success story builds upon the last. This isn't just an app, it's a movement." The room buzzed with whispers of doubt and curiosity. The analyst who had interrupted earlier shifted nervously, her eyes darting between the four of us while trying to gauge the mood. With every passing second, I could feel the momentum flickering between us like a candle caught in a draft. "Sarah, You're a smart woman, but I know Jensen Corp well enough to realize that they don't take risks unless there's hard proof," Emily challenged. I could see the determination in her eyes, and beneath that steely exterior, I began to discern the echoes of vulnerability. Did she also face the cold shadows of doubt every single day? "Proof is what I'm offering," I countered, my voice rising as confidence surged through me. "It's a path we can walk together, a partnership rather than mere vendors. Because that's what's at stake here, Emily. What if you could be the first to embrace true innovation rather than merely defending the status quo?" The silence that followed was deafening, the intensity in the room palpable as everyone absorbed my challenge. I locked eyes with Mark, searching for a glimmer of support, anything that would indicate he still believed in me. "I want to help you push through the limitations," I added, my heart racing. "I want to dismantle the barriers that hold all of us back." Dismantling barriers is all well and good, but Mark trailed off, hesitating as if caught in a web of conflicting loyalties. "Mark, what are you afraid of?" I pressed, voice softening yet resolute. "The fear of failure, or the fear of growing too fast? You've seen how traditional paths can lead to stagnation." Emily's gaze flitted back and forth between us, time appearing too slow as she began unraveling her own defenses. I sensed an unexpected alliance brewing. Emotions bubbling beneath the surface of corporate facades, a shared understanding of ambition and the relentless drive to prove oneself. "Maybe the real question is, can you trust her?" Emily interjected suddenly, directing her question at Mark, her brow pinching together tightly. His face paled for a brief moment, a vulnerability I had never witnessed before etched across it. "Trust is earned, not given," he responded slowly, his words heavy with self-reflection. "Sarah, you were always tenacious. That was undeniable. But what if you stumbled? What then? What if I rise?" I posed back, my eyes never wavering from his. "It's always in the risk of rising where the greatest innovations are born." As silence draped over the room, I felt the air shift. This wasn't just a battle for respect or for recognition. It had transformed into a collective reckoning, my journey intertwined with their expectations, with aspirations stretching beyond professional ties to something deeper. "Sarah, I'll be honest," Mark began slowly, the weight of his words hanging like a thread on a precipice. But just then, the door swung open once more, this time bringing in members of the Jensen Corp executive team, a group known for its cavalier approach to changing markets. Their arrival sent ripples of tension as their eyes scanned the room, instantly assessing the dynamics at play. "Sorry for the interruption, but we need to discuss the impending product launch strategy." The lead executive's voice radiated authority, gathering our focus. "I was in the middle of presenting an innovation that could reshape that strategy," I said, my voice threading mixture of urgency and passion around the unexpected barrier they represented. "The agreement I'm proposing ties seamlessly into your launch plan, emphasizing collaboration over competition." The eyes from the executive team narrowed slightly, exchanging glances that suggested skepticism carved into their corporate demeanor. Would they still reject me, or was this shift an opening to be explored? "I need to see the projections," the lead executive stated calmly, cutting through the palpable tension. "We're operating in a high-stakes environment. If you can prove that this technology would cut costs and increase productivity, we might be inclined to consider Jace's proposal." Behind the cautious exterior, I saw cracks forming in their competitive shields. This might be the moment I had been fighting for, but the stakes were higher than before. Would they embrace this opportunity with open arms, or would I be thrust back into the shadows from which I fought hard to emerge? Just to clarify, if you're not convinced by the data I've provided so far, I can schedule further breakdowns or compile additional pilot feedback, I offered, courage rippling in my heart. But believing in change means stepping beyond merely looking at the numbers. "That's the idealism talking," one of the executives interjected with a disapproving frown. "Metrics are what hold weight in this industry." "Perhaps," I acknowledged, swallowing the bitterness in my throat. "But consider, where do metrics come from? People. Real lives driven by passion, dreams. Without the human element, We fall into the cycle of mere profit. The tension thickened around us, straining against the confines of corporate realities. Would they reject my vision once more? Or was there clearer vision emerging from the fog of doubt that blanketed this room? Mark's eyes were now filled with conflicted determination. You know, I think it's vital we contemplate both the data and the dreams. He interjected quietly, stealing glances between the executives and me. What Sarah brings isn't just numbers. It's about rekindling that competitive edge. I caught my breath, heart pounding at the prospect of burgeoning support, but wary of the carpet being pulled from beneath me one last time. Emily, who had been listening with quiet intensity, spoke up again. If we're going to consider this, then we need hard-hitting results. We also need to align on expectations and follow-up actions. In the whirlwind of emotions flowing around the room, the executive team nodded, signaling their approval of Emily's demeanor. Her tone was the pulse of certainty that now rode alongside the doublespeak of ambition and trepidation. Before we dove headfirst into the next steps, I recognized the boiling anticipation that coursed through my veins. How much would I have to change to fit their vision while still holding on to my own aspirations? As the meeting pressed on, I felt a curious energy surge among the participants, a collective readiness to grasp the potential future I envisioned, delicately swirling like vapor that would soon evolve into a tangible force. But the reality struck hard as I understood that if I wanted their trust, I had to own the negotiations that could bridge our diverging paths. If only I knew the specters lurking in the wake, the truths gradually threading themselves between my aspirations, Mark's journey, and Emily's veiled past. And just as I prepared to grasp this tenuous moment and orchestrate a vision of collaboration, a weathered voice from the executive team broke through the undercurrents. Do you think we can trust your ambition and your innovation? Or are we heading into stormy waters? As I stood poised to answer, the scope widened, and a realization washed over me, a moment stirred between courage and vulnerability. With every risk worth taking, trust becomes the lifeblood of innovation. Stay with me as we reach the precipice of future decisions, lengthy negotiations, and confrontations that may either bind us together or rip our aspirations apart. And don't forget, if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button to join me on this dramatic journey filled with ambition, strife, competition, and unexpected connections that will change everything. The next chapter promises to deliver the revelations that will redefine our paths forever. Don't miss it. As I stood there, the air pulsing with a cocktail of tension and anticipation, it became clear that this moment was not merely a culmination of professional rivalry, but a definitive turning point. Trust can be as fragile as glass, I answered the questioning executive slowly. But it can also be the strongest bond if nurtured with transparency and collaboration. Faces shifted in the room, each weighing my words against the cumulative history we all shared. Emily's gaze bore into mine with a newfound intensity. What you're proposing is not just about metrics, but about shifting a culture that thrives on competition, she said, the steel in her voice softening. We're used to being the leaders in the market. What will it take for us to make that leap of belief in you and EdgeTech? A surge of determination coursed through me. It takes vision and shared vulnerability, I replied, meeting her challenge head-on. It's not just about winning. It's about redefining how we measure success. This technology can not only enhance productivity but also inspire a new level of creativity within your teams. Mark shifted in his chair, a flicker of connection sparking between us again. She's right, Emily, he chimed in, his voice steady. This is an opportunity for Jensen Corp to be more than just a player in the tech game. It can become a leader in innovation, showing others how setbacks can lead to significant comebacks. The executives exchanged glances, considering our proposal carefully. I held my breath, wondering if it was enough to tip the scales back in my favor. Emily considered my proposition with a measured gaze. If we were to test this partnership, what would be your first steps? We begin with a pilot program, I replied, every word calculated yet hopeful. Let us show how EdgeTech can revolutionize workflow, embedding it within your current systems. We can gather real-time feedback from both your teams and our pilot users, creating a feedback loop that harnesses the best ideas from both organizations. There was a moment of silence, a wall of uncertainty thickening around us, until the lead executive finally nodded, breaking the tension. Let's revisit this in 2 weeks after the initial pilot run. If we are convinced, we can plan an official integration ahead of our next product launch. Mark, you will oversee the project. A gasp escaped my lips, a mixture of disbelief and jubilation swelling inside me. Thank you, I managed to say, forcing back the emotion nearly taking hold of me. This could change everything. As we began to discuss logistics, the dynamic in the room shifted. There was camaraderie where once there had been dismissal. I caught Mark's eye again, and for the first time all day, he offered a subtle nod of support, perhaps acknowledging the bridge we were beginning to rebuild. When the meeting adjourned, I felt a rush flood through me, a sense of relief mingled with the promise of possibility. As I walked out of Jensen Corp's doors this time not as the rejected outsider, but as a partner, I turned to look back at the modern facade that once seemed so imposing. The one that had spurred my journey was now a landscape of opportunity. With a heart full of newfound hope, I realized that ambition was not simply about revenge or proving worth. It was about collaboration and understanding, redefining relationships that once seemed lost. Before I could get too lost in the moment, I took one last look back as the sun set over the Silicon Valley skyline, painting everything in hues of gold, my reminder that dreams do not die. They often transform into something far greater. And as I walked away, I felt a renewed sense of purpose, knowing this was just the beginning of the next chapter, not only for me, but for Jensen Corp as well. So, if you've enjoyed this journey of ambition, resilience, and unexpected friendships, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. Join me as we explore what comes next, where innovation meets the unpredictable, and narratives intertwine in the pursuit of a brighter future. Trust me, you won't want to miss it.